Hi, I'm Kathy O'Reilly from University College Dublin, and I'm here to talk to you about my experience of teaching with cases. My initial difficulty with teaching cases was an overall lack of confidence. I was a bit worried that the case wouldn't work, the discussion wouldn't take off, or that the discussion would kind of peter out after a few minutes and leave me with a big 2-hour class to fill with nothing to talk about. So that kind of prevented me from using cases as often as I should have, or from using them very effectively. Some recommendations I have, having done the seminar, in terms of how to teach cases more effectively. Firstly is to be really well prepared. I think the mistake I made previously was I thought, okay, it's a discussion, I know the case, hopefully the students know the case, so I'll just go in and we'll have a discussion. No, that is not a very effective way of teaching a case, because I think if you take that approach, then all the things I was worried about happening, they probably would happen because there'd be no real structure on it. It's very important that prior to your case session, that you know what you want to get out of that. So you know where you want to lead the discussion in a kind of very facilitative type of way, but you know, the themes that you want to bring out, the points that you want to discuss, and the key themes from the case that you want to highlight in that discussion. Having said that, you also want to keep an open mind and be a little bit adaptable, because sometimes the conversation might take a different turn. That's okay. So you have to be a little bit, again, adaptable, flexible, and just trust the process, because if you've prepared, you're going to have a good discussion. And it's okay if it goes off on a different track, because sometimes that can be really valuable and maybe highlight some aspects of the case that you hadn't thought to highlight, or that, you know, is coming from the class themselves. So that's always really valuable also. And then finally, one technique that I learned from the seminar that I have found really effective is to open your whole course with a case discussion on the very first day. I use this very effectively with my executive MBA class. The very first evening that I had them, we went straight into the discussion of a case that I had provided for them a few days ahead of time. They really weren't expecting that. They were expecting a general discussion about, oh, what is this course about, and maybe some of the admin, how it's going to work. But what we had was a really high energy, interesting case discussion that was very relevant, and it just set a very strong positive tone for the rest of that course. I think the class was kind of pleasantly surprised that we went straight into a case discussion, and the discussion itself was just very valuable and just a really enjoyable case session. Again, it set a super tone for the rest of the course, and for me, it gave me a real boost of confidence, especially with that executive audience. So it was a great tool, and I'm just so glad I learned about it on the seminar, because it's not something I would have done before. I would never have thought to do that before. But having done the seminar, it worked extremely well, and I highly recommend it as an approach. So to sum up, you absolutely need to be prepared when you're teaching cases, but at the same time, you need to be that little bit adaptable and flexible, and to trust the process. And if you do use a case to open your course, I think you'll find that it makes a really strong first impression with your students. Good luck in teaching with your cases, and thanks for listening.